joining us today. I'm quite excited. Today's InFocus webinar is focusing on the recent changes that have been announced and that have happened from Autodesk, namely around ACC or Autodesk Construction Cloud and the change over to Forma. But it's a lot more than that. And today's session is about just unpacking the recent changes that have happened, introducing some new products, new add-ons, and I think it is quite exciting. Just for housekeeping rules, so there is a team of people in the background that you can't see. They're off camera, so they will sort out any technical issues if we have any. And with all our presentations, I don't want it to be something where we talk to you guys, and I'm hoping that there's a bit of interactivity. So there is a Q&A section in the meeting. We have got the Q&A section open on screen in front of us. So the moment you guys have any questions, just pop it on here. We will stop. We will address the question and take it from there. All right. My name is Warwick Harvey, for those who don't know me, and I'm one of the key account managers at Modena with a main focus on digitizing the construction industry.
So I'm Mikhail Govender, and basically I'm a construction tech specialist. So if I had to put my role into a few words, basically BIM management in the construction phase and digitizing construction sites.
And I'm Nyashin. I'm also a construction technology specialist here at Modena. And I think, expanding to what Mikhail was saying, I think we mainly focus also on digital workflows as well in construction, onboarding companies and try to, just assist them with moving over from the manual things onto the digital stuff.
Amazing. Super. So there is a big picture play that we want to focus on, and we want to take the fear out of the changes, because I know construction is the worst industry to make changes, especially when it comes to technology and digitization. But essentially what's happened is Autodesk Construction Cloud had a recent name change, and the recent name change is Autodesk Forma. There have been some other changes to specific products, which we'll go through. I don't know. What do you guys think about the recent changes?
So like you said, it's kind of a rebrand, but then I think one of the bigger changes, which is more exciting for me from my point of view, is that our environment is now becoming much larger. So we have this one connected environment that we're working on from ACC, and now we're looking at the future for everything that we are like, in the future we could do this. Our environment has now become wider. We have a larger digital thread, which gives us much more capabilities on that side, I think.
Just on that, and before you say something in your show, it's just, increasing the digital thread. And I know a lot of the pushback has been around the recent price changes with some of the former products, namely Build. But I think not enough emphasis has been put on the fact that, in the past, ACC would have to be purchased separately, or ACC docs was included with your AC collections. What Autodesk have done now is they said, guys, you know what, we want to increase the digital thread. And the guys that are using Revit standalone licenses, AutoCAD standalone licenses, and Civil 3D, if I'm not mistaken, they also have access to ACC, or Forma, apologies, through the use of Forma Data Management Essentials. So it allows a much broader team to be involved on your project delivery, which I think is fantastic.
I think with these digital workflows that we have, I think the more information is fed into the system, the more you get better outcomes with it, and the more you can utilize the tools that you have at your disposal. And I think with each and every one of the construction stakeholders, disciplines, and all of the guys, the more they join into it, that means we are feeding in more information. Right? And with more information, you get what? Better insights.
100%.
That is true.
100%. All right. So just waiting for the slides to go over here. No problem. So, before Nicole carries on, and I just want to go back and emphasize the changes. So for those who have been in the industry and have been using digital tools to manage your projects, a lot of you may be familiar with the product called Glue. And Glue became BIM 360,
and
then BIM 360 became ACC, and now ACC has become Forma. And through every one of those iterations and every one of those changes, there's only been net positive results. In the beginning, I think the change management was a bit scary for a lot of people. But, I'm quite excited about the Forma changes.
And I think now, the jump from glue. I think glue was before my time,
Yeah.
before I entered industry. But I think when it came to things like the jump from glue and what I can see from the jump from BIM 316 to ACC, I think I have more insight on that. There were a few things where our workflows changed quite a bit. Whereas with this, your workflows aren't really changing. It's just expanding. So that's a good thing.
So why does it matter? Why are we actually here today? You know, if it's not just a name change, what is it that the industry needs to be aware of?
I think looking from a construction point of view, we need to figure out where we fit in this, because I think the biggest thing is that, like I said, the digital thread's expanding, which means that we now have teams all the way from inception now being included. So we need to focus on where we as your construction people, the construction industry fits in as a whole within this change, and what we need to do on our side to play our part in this change.
Got you. And look, there's a question here, and like I said, we'll answer the questions as they come in.
Yeah.
So for teams already using ACC, they've got the ACC licenses, they haven't changed, they haven't made the move. You know, what do you think the biggest adjustment is for them to move over to Forma?
There isn't much of as much as there's an adjustment, especially on the naming of the products that we already have, workflows are not changing. The workflows will still continue with the same workflows that we've been using. I think most of the products that we have, you might find the slight changes from maybe build to Forma build.
Yes.
ACC build, looking at what's the other one? It's the first one, it's Autodesk Docs to
Forma data management.
I think it's just to accommodate the naming conditions change so that they can accommodate a broader stuff that they're introducing into the entire CD.
Perfect. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think also elephant in the room, or you'd probably be able to touch more on that. They can take you offline, but pricing.
Yeah. So look, pricing is a bit sensitive.
Yeah.
And the industry really got used to specific pricing on the ACC Build 550, 5000 and unlimited packages. And I know there was quite a bit of shock when we announced the new pricing on Forma. But things have become slightly more expensive, but things have become a lot more better.
Yeah.
You know, there's introduction of AI tools in Forma. There's an introduction to Forma Data Management Essentials free of charge for our users that are using AutoCAD, Revit, and Civil 3D.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing that I want to maybe focus on is, you know, historically in the Build 550 and 5000 packages, the numbers refer to the number of sheets a user had access to using the mobile device, and that included revisions, which was crazy. So, you know, one drawing can occupy 300 sheets.
Show me a site that only took 500 sheets.
And what they've done now is they said, okay, cool, guys, you know, we've heard you as industry, and we are taking the sheet count away, and we now split the Forma Build package into 3 offerings. So we have the Forma Build Essentials, Forma Build, and then Forma Enterprise.
Yeah.
The Essentials is for your guys that are on site. They're not worried about RFIs or schedules or minutes of meetings. They're worried about getting concrete from truck and getting it placed.
Yeah.
And how do they do that? They do that by having access to information.
Yeah.
If there's an issue, they still have the opportunity to raise an issue. If there's a snag, they still have an opportunity to start doing snags.
Yes.
You know, so it still keeps them connected without having access to all of the unnecessary tools that we were typically exposed to using the RFIs and the correspondence.
Yeah.
You know, it became a bit too much.
Yeah.
Then we're looking at Forma Build, which is exactly the same as the previous Build offering. So that's more for your account managers, your project managers, your architects, where they need holistic overview of the project and its health. And then we are looking at the enterprise offering. So with the recent price change, it has caused a bit of a stir, but the enterprise offering now allows companies to look at an enterprise account where they can, for their company, purchase an unlimited number of licenses, which will connect every one of their stakeholders.
Yeah.
Their entire management team, their subcontractor team, their appointed parties, everyone will get a license, and that's broken into a company base or a project base.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are some changes, and I know the price has gone up, but the benefits, you know, in my opinion, outweigh the risks at the moment.
To be honest with you, with what you spoke about in terms of accessibility as well, a lot of people, especially when you're dealing with development companies, property development companies and stuff. The challenges they were facing were they introduced the platform, right? They introduced the platform and they required, well, majority of these guys, they want everyone to run the project basically on the platform. And with the licenses that we previously had access to them, you'd find someone would ask a question like, do I really need all these tools?
Yes.
You know, and there was a lot of pushback when it comes to that. And I think with this new pricing thing, as much as yes, it might seem somehow, I think it will give access to a whole lot of companies, and with more access, like we said, you will get more input.
Well, think about it like this. If a company goes and they get an enterprise for a project or for their company, there is no question about you need to go buy. It's about here's a license, here's a license, here's a license. And remember, guys, information is key and it's critical, you know, so having that enterprise opportunity available means that we can connect the entire project team. We can go as far as giving the driver from Lafarge who's delivering concrete an ACC of a formable license.
So he can see what's going on when he. And I think as digital experts in the industry, like one of our biggest things, like for us, it's exciting because that takes away a massive headache from us and trying to figure out how to get everyone in on the information that we have and how to distribute it. For us now, it's like, okay, the more people we have in the system, the better our workflows can now.
100%. We have got a question here. It's from Mr. Anonymous. Have there been any noticeable changes to permissions, project setup, or administration in Informa compared to ACC? How is Autodesk planning to support companies that have already established ACC coordination workflows?
I think that leads well into talking about ACC, what currently had.
Oh, perfect timing.
So what did we have in ACC that we don't have in the new thing? Basically, we still have the same things. But if we've been supported, you see, you're looking at document management. This is like your hard drive, entire thing, where everyone accesses information from one spot. I think in terms of data silos, you're looking at, this is one thing that Forma has managed to actually help the industry. We have had a lot of data silos where information gets lost through Outlook. We all know searching from the email Outlook is like crazy, you know, and we've consolidated all of these things within one platform, which means, and this is stuff that has actually already been happening even before the additions of the new tools that we now have with this recent update. We're looking at also RFIs, there could be raised RFIs, direct information where you could request for information, everything is tracked, and there's a whole lot of visibility when it comes to this common data environment.
So there's no risk of the guys who have spent time, money, blood, sweat, and tears on creating these workflows in ACC, and then tomorrow it's Forma, and now those are gone.
And if anything, your workflows, I think, become better.
They become better.
Become much better. Just to add to that, one of the very small changes that were made to Forma. So for example, a lot of people who are currently using ACC would have seen that big banner that came up under reviews to say reviews needed to be closed before the end of April. And everyone was like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? And people were like running around like all over the place, panicked. But then when we actually looked at what the changes was, one of the smallest changes in Forma, which is things that people have been asking in industry, I think, Nyasha, you can attest to this, is that in industry people are like, can't I just put this in my DocuSign and sign it off? That's my review done and dusted. That is one of the changes in reviews now, that it can now connect to your DocuSign. You can sign it off and send it. Like, it's a small change like that where everyone's worried like, oh, what's going to happen? Your workflows are going to stay the same, if not get better and easier for you.
Okay. And I mean, we've got another question here, and it says, you know, from a hesitant company, you know, what advice would you give a firm to move away from their current ACC based? I think I can answer this. ACC does not exist anymore. It had end of life on the 7th of May, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And automatically, everyone moved over from ACC over to Forma. Right?
Yeah.
So all we now need to do is start exploring what opportunities exist with the add-on benefits and features within Forma that we can, you know, offer back to the companies and clients. But you're already on Forma. If you weren't aware, you are now. ACC is no longer available. And maybe it's just about having a discussion and just reviewing what licenses you guys do have and just having a chat with us offline and just seeing what opportunities are possible.
I think also with that question, what do we need to move away from with the current ACC? You're not moving away from anything. You're keeping what you're doing. If anything, we're just going to add 1 or 2 things in here to make your life easier. But you're not moving away from anything. Stay on what you're currently doing. Make it better.
Amazing.
That's the big thing there.
In terms of what does Forma add, right? I think but outside of a whole bunch of these tools, we can now start planning our projects from the planning stages. Because traditionally speaking, most of the companies we're starting to adopt Forma around stage 3, so thereabout, projects. So right now we're looking at the introduction of site design as well. It's a tool that you can actually activate for your members. So it's that as they're taking the project from site, before surveys have been done, before all of this, even construction companies can also start planning in terms of, depending on the project, in terms of access to sites as well. So this allows for people to start planning within it. It's a tool that actually develops context around your site. There's a whole bunch of things.
Is that the tool you were showing us earlier where it does wind analysis, solar analysis, traffic, and all of that nonsense?
Yeah, it does a lot of things. You're looking at former design, site context, number one. You're looking at 3D modeling, former site design as well. This is part of the tool and the design environmental analysis that you're talking about, and former boards as well. So those are some of the additions that you have on top of what you already had. And in terms of the workflows from design and coordination and build handover and all of this, most of those workflows, like we say, we're still maintaining those workflows, but we're now just integrating all the other new stuff into.
So you're saying from the planning stage, we can take some conceptual ideas, put it down on digital paper essentially, and play around with the site layout, the site format, if there's any disruption from wind or sun, solar.
And with that, it feeds in because we're not just playing around with it now. Now we're looking at real project risks earlier on, rather than only looking at your risks and opportunities from stage 3 onwards, which is, where we fall in construction. We now have that information available to us beforehand. And I think like Nyasha, you would know, like studying architecture, we had to do like, before we started any project, it was site analysis. And we had like 3 A0s of site analysis. And when you're working in industry, like, it's like one of those things where like, I never needed math in school, but I need to know how to do my taxes. It's one of those things where we constantly said, oh, but I never needed site analysis because now look, we're in sites and we're on construction, like on our construction sites, and we're not even using that information. Whereas now with Forma Build, you are using that information and it's going to give you better results in the long term.
Look, Inyasha's got his laptop open here. Do me a favor quickly. We've got a question here from Franco Fenter. And he's basically saying, with the update from ACC to Forma, the website URL still says ACC. Can we confirm that? Has there been any changes? Is it now forma.autodesk?
So it has changed to forma.autodesk.
On the URL?
Yes, but you still can access it through acc.autodesk.
Okay.
You still can access.
I think that's like, for those of you who switched over from BIM 360 to ACC, remember your BIM 360 projects are still available on the ACC, still available on the ACC side of things. So I think it's going to do the same thing and it's going to be a slower transition.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think to be honest with you, even if you say maybe you had bookmarked ACC, you still click on the same bookmark.
It'll still work.
Okay. So Franco, don't stress. Your ACC link will take you to Forma. And then another question we have here is, how does the new Forma workflows improve collaboration between architects, engineers, and project teams compared to previous ACC setups?
And you can go.
So with that, I think it's that now our environments are much larger. Our digital environments are much larger, which means that teams, so for example, your architects and engineers will only start collaborating when, like Nyash said, during stage 3 and 4, where now we needed to bring our models together to see how they're going to work and make sure it works when we start actually constructing on site. Whereas now they're able to start working from inception. So for example, when your engineers go onto site and they're doing their testing on site, all your project teams now have availability to that information to start planning from then and start collaborating to basically work better together from then.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Let's move on. Not working.
Not working.
Let's see if this is going to work here. Oh, wait. Let's do that. Okay.
And now we're in.
There we are. All right. So we've gone over it slightly, but I think let's do it formally. So Autodesk Construction Cloud, ACC, has now changed names to Autodesk Forma. We can just get the next slide. Autodesk Docs is now Forma Data Management. Autodesk Build has changed over to Forma Build, with the smaller changes in Build being Build Essentials, former build and former build enterprise for projects or companies, which we've gone over. If there are any questions about that, very happy to go through it again. For the architects, they were using BIM Collabora Pro. The name change is now Forma Design Collaboration. I don't think we have many users locally in South Africa using Takeoff, but for those of you who are using Takeoff, the new name is now Forma Takeoff. Forma Estimate is the new name from Autodesk Estimate. Count has been changed to Hub, and Account Admin has been changed to Hub Admin. We will go into this Autodesk Estimate because I don't know if a lot of people have seen it. And I do think it's worthwhile that we spend a bit of time on it. And I know it is on the next slide of the presentation. So if we can maybe just go through that and then just, have a discussion around what is available to the guys locally and how they can benefit from it from today.
So I think with Estimate, like one of the things that we can talk about is, for example, one of the questions we had earlier is how are our site teams now integrated? One of the things you can look at on Estimate is that it's a really cool tool for your quantity surveyor. However, it would link directly to your architects from the time your architect starts fully designing or fully drafting on Revit, for example. So I'm not sure how many of our guys here use Sigma. So Sigma is a quantity surveyor tool that's available in South Africa. I know from my personal industry experience, not a lot of people use it here because it is a very expensive tool, but honestly, it's an amazing tool when it comes to actually getting that costing information out. So what Forma Estimate now does is it kind of brings in that same principle where as an architect, if I'm drafting, for example, and I put in a door, when I link Forma Estimates in my quantity surveyor can now already cost that door out for me.
With the metadata in that door.
From the metadata in the door. So for example, you have something called content catalog, which is available to you. So on your content catalog, within your families, you can have a whole lot of metadata, including the costing for things, something as small as like a lock on your door. You can cost it out so that your entire door, by the time you're done with it, it will include your ironmongery costing as well as like your leaf and stuff like that. So what it would do is it would not only automatically cost it as you're drafting, but if something were to change in the middle of a project, so even if an entire wing of a building changed in the project, without anyone having to now go in and cost us out, because I'm sure like we know, like when you're on site, that's like time, and time is money. It automatically costs it out for you. So as the architect is busy changing the Revit model, it's automatically recosting as long as your metadata within that Revit model has that costing information attached to it, which I think is amazing.
Again, and I think the QSs historically have always been quite late to the Autodesk Construction Cloud now Forma environment. And I think this is a really good opportunity to get them involved. From a costing perspective.
And from the beginning.
And the Forma Construction Connect?
So with Forma Construction Connect, again, like we said, your digital thread is now widening. So like Nyasha was previously explaining, like we have like your bigger guys that like, for example, it's not coming to me now, sorry.
Using SharePoint.
So you guys that are using like SharePoint and Google Drive. So for example, when it comes to like a development company, right? Not everyone within that company is had ACC licenses because they never needed to see the site diaries. They never needed to see issues or snap that were raised on site. But now, and what we were doing previously is we were taking that information off ACC. We were creating reports from that information and we were sharing it with the guys higher up because they just want to see numbers at the end of the day. They want to see what's working, what's not working. And then these guys would eventually put it into things like SharePoint and your Google Drive and stuff like that. So what Construction Connect does for you is Construction Connect basically, the only step you have to take is you have to make sure, for example, your SharePoint folder structure is the same as your ACC folder structure. It's a once-off connection that you make to your from your Forma to your SharePoint, for example. And whatever gets updated in your Forma will get updated in SharePoint. So if I add in a new version of a file in Forma, it will automatically share into your SharePoint. So that's what Construction Connect does for you. And look, I can't sit here and name everything it links to because it's a lot, but off the top of my head, some of it is SharePoint, Google Drive, and Jira. But again, there's so many.
Sage? I know we
Sage, yes, which is a really good one because I know a lot of pushback that we got on cost management was that guys are already using Sage. They have their workflows and stuff already set up on there and their company costing on there. So it links to Sage, which I think is a big thing for industry as well.
Perfect.
I think, to be honest with you, with what you're saying, it's we're coming back to that thing of accessing information as well. So this even broadens our access to information. And I know a lot of people, especially like you said, the higher ranking people within companies, they usually didn't like operating within the ACC environment. And they used to always ask, how do we share this information from ACC to anyone who's not using ACC? I think this is actually something that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing, guys.
And it keeps them within a familiar environment.
Then obviously with the introduction of AI, I think AI is quite hot.
And exciting.
And exciting.
Yeah.
Not just locally, but internationally. You know, what changes can our clients expect from AI through the use of Forma?
Well, I think when Autodesk Assistant was introduced, if I'm not mistaken, it was AU 25 or 24, I'm not sure. But when Autodesk Assistant was introduced, previously it would have only been available on Build Unlimited. So now I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's included in your enterprise or before you're in
so
essentials.
It's included in your Forma Build and your Forma Build Enterprise. It's not included in your Forma Build Essentials package.
But it's still better off than only having it available to Build Unlimited, because I think, especially from our industry insights, we know not a lot of our clients were using Build Unlimited necessarily.
Just give us a quick one thing that AI can assist the users on Forma Build. They open up a thing, and what can they do?
Information easier.
Okay.
So, for example, I can go in and I can just type in, it's like you're chatting to your ChatGPT. You can just go and you can type in, let me know what was happening on site in terms of like issues or snags between November 2025 and November 2026.
Okay.
And what Autodesk Assistant will do is it'll summarize everything that was going on down to the contractor that may have had the most snags, who had the most overdue submittals, for example. Like, you can basically just ask it a question that you want, and it'll give you the summary and the answer without you. So I know, so what usually happens is that we're taking out reports, and then from reports we're extracting information, and then we're putting it into, easier and more readable reports. Whereas now AI Assistant takes all of that work out, and you can get your answers.
Amazing. And I mean, we've got a question here. So are there any upcoming Forma features or roadmap developments that the users should be excited about?
To be honest with you, Forma is constantly updating. And in most cases, actually, when you log in, sometimes you find those quick updates that have just happened, exciting stuff. And I think they've been listening to the users. And I may not personally know what's coming, but to be honest with you, I can tell you, just be excited, because there's a lot.
Well, I logged in the other day and there was a thing called boards. And Nicole was actually excited about it.
I was excited about boards, So not everyone likes it, but I think for someone like me who uses Mural quite often, boards is exciting. So what boards is essentially it's essentially one big board that you have, and you can mind map all your different processes on it. And you can basically, what you can do on boards, for example, is that if I saw a problem on site and I'm trying to solve this problem, I can start creating this board. And I can mind map what's currently happening, how I can solve this problem. And what's cool about attaching it to Forma is that I can now link in like different things, like my issues, for example, that may have caused this issue. I can link it directly to my board. Even photos that you take on site that we store on Forma, I can now take it directly from photos and I can add it to my board. So now I'm able to see the bigger picture in front of me. So for those of you who like mind mapping, I know some people in school never like doing their mind maps before their essays. I love mind mapping. So for me, boards is quite exciting, and I think I think it's a cool tool.
Okay.
And another exciting thing as well. This is something that also used to frustrate me a lot. The introduction of Forma design. So what we're talking about, for those who've been using InFocus, it works pretty much the same way, where it maps out your site context. And I think for the ones that have been doing in the architectural space, it's very difficult. It was very difficult as an architect to try and summarize your context. Site surroundings, site context, actually, it does affect your designs, the whole lot of these things. And I think with this information easily accessible to majority of the users that will be using Forma, I think it will improve your workflows in terms of site domain inception and a whole bunch of things.
So again, change management is very scary for the industry, and I can attest that there's a question that's just come through. So what training or onboarding approach would we as Modena recommend for teams transitioning to Forma for the first time? Typically we don't. It's like going to the doctor. You don't go to the doctor and within 2 minutes he's going to give you this prescription of X. There's typically, okay, what's wrong? Where does it hurt? Why are you feeling this way? How long have you been feeling like this? So training is quite difficult just to answer off the bat.
Yeah.
And we like to take the clinical approach where we sit down with companies and clients and go through those doctor style questions.
Yeah.
Because that really gets us down to, what the actual problems are and how do we address it through the use of training or onboarding or skills development or something like that. So not much change has happened on ACC other than the big build transition to essentials and informal build. But again, guys, if there's an issue and the teams are a bit concerned or worried or they're not sure on how to do things, give us a call and we can have that discussion and see how we can diagnose it properly.
Yeah.
I think like we mentioned earlier with exactly what we do, you're looking at in terms of training, before we even get to the training, you need to understand traditionally how is the company working? How are your workflows? What are your workflows in the construction space and all of that? And then we take those workflows and we integrate them into the new digital platforms.
Yeah.
That way, as much as you are now collecting all the information under one spot, you're still using some of the same workflows that you generally have been using. We just channel them into this new platform.
Yeah.
And I think it excites a lot of people that there's not much change to their workflows.
I think also one of the things that I say quite often, because obviously in our industry, we get so much of pushback, especially going the digital route. And one of the things that I like putting out there is that we're not here to change the way things are done.
Yeah.
We're here to better the way things are done. And that's it.
And I think it's also going back to the training question, why are you using Forma?
Yeah.
What is the end goal?
Yeah.
Because your end goal as an architect and your end goal as a property development company are completely
Very
different. So it's about outcome-based training, outcome-based decisions will definitely impact on how we approach, an upskilling or a training session.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Another question just came through. What about large multidisciplinary projects? How mature is the current Forma ecosystem versus, ACC and what we were currently using?
If I can take this, I think we're already doing large multidisciplinary projects on ACC. So to be honest, I don't think that the Forma ecosystem is much more mature than ACC, because I think we had a lot of successful project delivery using ACC. I think if anything, it excites us because we know that we had so much of successful project delivery on ACC with the new tools that are introduced. I think it just excites us to know how much better and quicker it can be done, rather than Forma being this whole massive big change that's going to make things like 100 times better. I think we've been getting successful project delivery.
On the ecosystem, I keep going on it because no one talks about it, is the fact that Civil 3D, Revit, and AutoCAD users now can plug into this ecosystem using Forma Data Management Essentials. So I hope that answers your question. How mature is it? I think it's extremely mature because Autodesk have gone through this pricing strategy and this is we're not going to charge for those users to connect into the project, which I think is really, really great. Looking at the real shift, and this is the slide that's on the screen now.
Yeah.
Talk us through the old mindset and the new mindset and why there's been such a change.
Yeah. So I think when we look at the old mindset and the new mindset, like it says, essentially the old mindset could have been we need somewhere to store our projects, where now our new mindset is that we want a full digital environment. But in saying that, I think the end goal was always a full digital environment for our workflows and information to feed off of. And I think the old mindset was only that way because of your limitations. So for example, now everyone who has Civil 3D, Revit and stuff like that can now plug into this, whereas previously not everyone could. So although the end goal was always to have a fully governed digital environment, I think we had some stuff that was stopping us from getting there. So what was happening was that a lot of firms was using ACC more as a storage tool rather than a full digital working environment. So I think with the new stuff that's been added to Forma, and like you said, even with the licensing changes and stuff like that, it makes it better because it takes us that much further into getting that full digital ecosystem that we've always wanted.
And I mean, have you seen any mindset changes or pushback or acceptance from the clients and the companies you serve?
Not really. You're looking at obviously when they announced that it was shifting from ACC to Forma, a lot of people were scared. They didn't know that all the training that we had done, all the workflows we had to reset, all of these things. That was the fear around it. But I think as soon as they updated it, everyone realized there's actually more stuff that you now can do, which is very easy to operate. I think on the platform itself, it's not a difficult platform to work with, especially once your workflows have already been set up, everything has been set up. It's very easy for teams to adapt into even the name changes because it's still just the basic names are still there. You now just change it to accommodate more tools.
Okay.
And I think to add to that, one of the biggest things is that our UI is the same. So for as long as your UI is the same, you know what you're doing.
UX remains happy.
Yeah.
Change the UI and the UX is a problem.
Exactly.
All right, so here we've got a question before we move on to the next slide. So question is, has Autodesk or Modena seen any measurable productivity improvements from firms already adopting Forma?
I think honestly it's too early to say from my side. Yeah.
I think it's given us an opportunity to go speak to a lot more clients in a much shorter time frame because of the change management that happened.
Yeah.
So it's given us the rare opportunity to engage with almost everybody around the changes. And I think that in itself has been quite a positive upsell, giving everyone access to the information and having the opportunity to have an open discussion with our clients. So let's park that question and let's see what it looks like in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And then we can give you guys an answer.
Actually, whilst we're still there as well, you're looking at most of the companies that we've been working with have been running pilot projects as well.
Yeah.
So this is a collection of information. And I think part of what we also haven't really spoken about is that Forma is an information collection, construction information collection tool.
Yeah.
And what do you use information for? Is for your insights so that on the next project, you already have a whole lot of insights of what happened in the previous, you have all the information out there. So I think like you say, in the next coming months, we're going to be having a whole lot of insights.
Magic. So what does it all mean?
So I think if we're looking at what it all means, we need to break it up between our project teams and our build managers. Because if you look at it, what I can see is that on our project teams, there's a very low amount of work that needs to be done, whereas most of the work sits on the BIM manager side of things. So for your bigger project teams, I think the biggest thing is just getting familiar with the new terminology and not freaking out when someone says they're using Forma and you saying, oh my God, but I'm using ACC. It's the same thing. And I think it's important to remember, because I think one of the biggest things that people were scared about was workflows. Your workflows remain the same. The project teams need to know their workflows are going to remain the same. But one of the bigger things is obviously our digital thread is now expanding, which means that we need to clean up our digital habits so that we don't end up with a mess. And like Nyasha said, we take that information that we have on ACC or Forma and we use it to learn from our previous project. And we also use it to maintain our buildings in years to come with things like assets and stuff like that. So I think better data habits, which we've always been pushing, but I think now more than ever, we need to just clean up data habits. But on the BIM manager side of things is the BIM manager has a lot more work to do in terms of the fact that a BIM manager needs to align their workflows. Because currently our workflows in the construction phase of things and managing these digital environments, our workflows mainly sit from about stage 3 to handover, whereas now we need to start including from inception, from the time this project is thought of, we need to start.
The tools that are available.
Exactly. So we need to start thinking of workflows in that way. And again, we as BIM managers, we need to know how to drive our project delivery without disruption, because already everyone's up in arms. What's going to happen? And the biggest thing, like we said, with better data habits is that we need to maintain governance. We need to make sure that the better data habits are happening, because at the end of the day, the information you get out is only as good as the information you put in. So people can come back and say this Forma change has messed everything up, but how were you using it in the first place?
Yes.
You know?
Here's a question, and the question from Mr. Anonymous is, are there any current limitations in Forma that one should be aware of? Yes, there is. So everything else stays the same, bar Forma data management and Forma data management essentials, and then Forma build essentials and Forma build. So Forma data management essentials cannot be purchased. It is an add-on given free of charge to Revit, AutoCAD, Civil 3D users. And that is a very basic document management tool that allows them to upload and download. Then we've got Forma data management, which is docs. Everyone should be familiar with that process. And then Forma build essentials and Forma build are quite different. So Forma build essentials does not include tools like schedule management, RFIs, correspondence, meetings. What it does do, it includes tools like issues, forms. Forms are so critical. You know, what needs to be documented on a project? and post concrete pours, health and safety inspections, DSTIs.
Yeah.
You know, anything that needs to be written down, signed off, and stored somewhere is used in forms.
Yeah. Also, a big thing is building maintenance. We're using that in forms because when you're doing this commissioning testing to make sure that all of the stuff in your building is working correctly, you're using forms.
Yeah. So look, I mean, the list is quite long, and we've gone through quite a lot of detail showing what is and what isn't included.
Yeah.
And it's not bad or good. It's just, you know, it gives us a really good opportunity now to create this former ecosystem based on the need of the users.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is there is a QR code at the end of today's session.
Yeah.
Please just scan it and give us your email address, and I'll gladly share the changes between the docs to former data management and build to former build with you. All right.
All right, we've got a cleaner digital thread actually. So with this, we are talking about from inception. Right now, since now it accommodates from inception, you're looking at collection of data from that will assist in a cleaner digital thread that's all the stakeholders. We're not excluding anyone anymore. We're including everyone, which means we're actually collecting a whole lot more information that will lead to a cleaner digital thread.
Yeah.
Looking at also during construction, we can actually, with the issues, construction issues, and a whole lot of information that will be collected through reviews, submittals, and all of that, we get also now access, like we're saying, with pilot projects that will be running, lessons learned.
Yeah.
So that will help in future projects, what we learned from our mistakes and all of that, we can now get all the way through to handover.
Yeah.
With asset management, I think it's one of people underrate asset management. I think it's one of the things that once companies start adopting that all the way through from planning phases, you already implement asset management all the way to handover. I think it's something that we can say it's a good step towards eventually, you know, achieving a good digital training.
Okay.
And I think also with asset management, just personally with what we see is like multiple lever arch files that come to you at the end of a construction project. And it's like, this is what I'm handing over to you. Who's actually going through those files trying to figure out how to maintain their air conditioning? No one. So with asset management, it's all there. It's literally a click of a button. You type in a code and it's there for you to have a look at if something were to go wrong. So like things like that, I think is very valuable. And just to add to that, with the design, data and construction planning, I think especially again for us being in the construction phase of things, it does help quite a bit to have insights to stuff like your site design and stuff like that beforehand, so we can better plan for the construction phase. So then, like we always say, we want proactive construction, not reactive construction. And I think having insights to that and having a connected environment to things from that stage makes it much better for us.
Amazing. One question before we go into our final thoughts. What are the biggest benefits users can expect from the integration between Forma and Revit?
I would say the model integration. Well, one of my things that I'm personally excited about is the estimates integration. So things like your model metadata feeding into Forma and us getting the insights we need directly from your Revit model, which ACC did do, but to a certain extent.
Yes.
So I think personally for me, that's what I would say. I don't know, Nyasha, you?
Well, it's been there the entire time, but still, it still excites me. You're talking about access to information. So you look at within Revit, you're working, let's say maybe as a team of architects, right?
Yeah.
Number one, with the new Revit that we have, it's integrating formal design that we talk about, where you can now get to access a whole lot of information, like you say, site data, it's environmental analysis and all of that. And then with that, everything is being sent back onto Forma where everyone will be able to access. Which means the same model that architects, engineers, and all of these other disciplines are using, the same model that a project manager can create an issue on that model, and same model that the other guy will be able to view and see all the latest information. I think this is something that excites me still.
Another thing that I'm just thinking about now, actually, that's quite exciting, especially from a manager and coordinator's point of view, is on design collaboration. We now have the model health checker directly on Canva. So I think that's a big thing that excites us, because obviously as the manager coordinator, that's your job. You need to make sure the model has good health. So previously what you'd do is you would download a plugin and you'd put that into your Revit. You would get the results from there. You'd have to put it into a Power BI dashboard. Whereas now what Forma does is it automatically gives you that dashboard with all of the information, how well your model's working, if your model needs to be purged, if there's things sitting there that shouldn't be sitting there. So I think that's one of the biggest things as well, especially coming from industry.
There's lots of hearts, lots of thumbs up.
Yeah.
That struck all the
See,
a lot of the
industry
viewers.
loves it.
Look, I want to allow some time for Q&A. So any final thoughts? From my side, looking at the commercial discussions that we've had with the clients, there was a bit of pushback with the change, but once people realized that the change wasn't as bad as the people thought it was, guys are just carrying on. You know, they have an opportunity to use the tool and extend its reaches, far more than what was possible. But, our day-to-day operations are carrying on. And I think Forma is, a lot better than ACC because of that expanded reach and that enterprise opportunity that it now offers. So I don't see any negative changes. I haven't got any negative feedback.
I think initially, like you said, it was, oh my God, prices.
Yeah.
But when we actually sit back and we explain to us, but this is what you're going to be able to do, then we're getting feedback in terms of, okay, now people are asking us questions. How can we hop onto this? What would be the benefits for us? And I think although obviously clients are a bit more apprehensive, because at the end of the day, money is money. I think you can also see the excitement in them when you start discussing these things and what it can do.
100%.
Final
thoughts on your side?
I'm excited. I'm excited. And also, with some of the clients also that I've been seeing that we've been onboarding, there's a whole lot of excitement. Actually, with what I've noticed is even including the new clients we have that previously we're not using ACC, they actually hopped on it when it's now Forma. There's a whole lot of excitement around it, especially showing them all the tools that we have and access to information. I think a lot of people are positive about it.
Perfect. So next slide for guys, please scan the QR code. This will take you to a landing page where you fill in your information and sends it back to us so that it can go to one of our team members to reach out and assist. And are there any questions? Obviously we can't hear you, but if you guys have got any questions that you would like to ask, please put it in the Q&A section, and we have got it visible in front of us to read. We'll leave the QR code for a couple more minutes. And I see the next slide is there's a rating page. How do they rate?
So basically you can just leave a review on Facebook, Instagram, one of our platforms, or LinkedIn.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Super. Let me just look to the technical team in the background. Is there any questions that have come through that we need to answer? Nothing. All right, guys. Let's give you guys 50 minutes back of your Friday. No, nothing else from your side?
Not really.
Nothing else from your side?
Nothing else from my side. We're excited to hear from everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
We're excited to work with everyone.
And we'll take it from there. But in closing, Glue to BIM 360 to ACC to Forma, it's not the end of the world. It just means it gives us a better opportunity to touch base with you and see how we can help you guys deliver better projects. Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.